Hello, everyone, and welcome to What's the Tea with Gen X, Y, and Z. We are three generations, three perspectives, one cup of truth. So today, get ready for a refreshing take on hot button topics. We're going to be brewing up a steaming hot take on today's most pressing issues, where we will dish on everything from social justice to pop culture with humor, honesty, and maybe even a little healthy debate. We're going to sip the tea, spill the honest truth, and try to find some common grounds across the generational gap. This show is informative, it's insightful, and guaranteed to stir the pot. Hello, everyone. I'm Dr. Melissa, and I'm representing the X Factor.
And what's up, y'all? I'm Amber, holding it down for us Millennials.
And I'm Zion, keeping it real for Generation Z.
Amen. Amen. All right, you guys. So today we're going to explore a topic that I'm going to already let you know I am not the expert at the table. All right. So I will be taking a secondary role in this episode because, listen, one of the things that you got to know, one of the greatest strengths you can have in your life is to know what you don't know. Okay. Today, our topic is going to be about digital literacy. And you can almost guess that I did not come up with this topic since I'm really sort of deferring to my esteemed host. So, digital literacy is what we're going to talk about today. So, I'm going to let our Zier, the digital expert. Oh, she said know it all.
I wouldn't say all that. But...
Woo! Good gracious. Let me tell y'all something. Before we get started, Amber just came back from another vacation.
Living her best life.
What I'm going to tell you, every time Amber comes back, she comes back shadier and shadier.
She picked up a little something from over there.
Hey, I was under all the palm trees, so hey.
Amen. Okay, well, that was shade. So she said I would our digital know-it-all. So yeah, Z,
Okay.
Talk to us a little bit about digital literacy.
Yes, so for today's episode, as Dr. M said, we're going to be talking about digital literacy, but also the negative impacts of digital illiteracy. So if I had to define digital literacy in my own terms, I would say that was the utilization of digital technology, devices, apps to access information, communicate, or just et cetera, anything like that. Just being competent in technology.
Yeah, competent.
Yeah.
That part right there. Yeah. So, Amber, what about you when we talk about digital literacy?
I have to piggyback off of Zion for sure. Really is knowing everything there is to know about digital products that you use, like
That's
your phone, computers, iPads, because it's evolving. Like they're coming out with everything, even your cars now. Like
that part.
Like you gotta know it's prominent that you know everything that comes about with anything that's digital, because literally everything is digitized. So
Right.
yeah.
So we always look at all of our topics from a generational perspective.
Right.
And so when this whole term, and I had never heard of the term, you guys, but it makes so much sense. Right? Because when I think about literacy, just from a standpoint historically,
right,
the ability to be able to read.
Mm-hmm.
And if you go back, in previous times, you were at a real disadvantage if you were not literate.
Exactly.
If you could not read in this country, with everything being such an informational melting pot, right, you were really at a disadvantage. Absolutely. And so back, even when I was younger, we had all of these literacy programs and the push to literacy to make sure that people could avail themselves of opportunities. Because if you couldn't read, you were sort of locked out of so many things. So if you take that principle, right, and apply it to what you guys are talking about, right, digital literacy, oh my goodness, it's the same thing. I will say from the X perspective, when it comes to that, Generation X, when it comes to technology, we're sort of like the middle child. Okay. And when I say that, I'm thinking in terms of being sandwiched between the boomers and millennials and Zers. Right. You have the boomers who, like, for most of their childhood coming into adulthood, the technology piece wasn't there.
Right.
It wasn't a push toward that. So most of their experiences was pretty much analog. And listen, if you don't know what analog, some of y'all, do y'all know what analog is?
Yeah, when you got to put the antenna in the Reynolds wrap. No, okay, nope. We don't.
Analog to me is like more of a. Doesn't that really refer to like more of a manual approach? Like, that's all I can tell you.
It is, yeah. Listen, and I don't have the technical definition of
Yeah.
it, but okay, Amber, Lord,
But it took me back to the days where I used to have to use the antenna in the Reynolds wrap so we could get the signal.
Amen. And I'm not saying that that's not. I'm not saying that that's not a piece of it. But did she just? Last week she said when I had outed myself about sending an email at 3 a.m, and she said, "No, you didn't out yourself. I was going to let you be great." I wanted to let her be great because I'm sure not everybody that's watching us have had the experience of putting Reynolds wrap on the end of the rabbit ear antenna. I did, and then there was the clothes hanger. Okay. But listen, y'all. If we do nothing else on the show, we keep it real. Okay?
Absolutely.
So for analog, like I was saying, boomers pretty much did not have to navigate or exist in a digital technology laden kind of world.
Right.
Let me talk about the Xers because that's what I represent. We came up during a time where there was the divide in our lives. There was analog and then there was digital. Right. We are the early adopters of the internet,
right?
Because I don't know, those of y'all AOL and the dial up and the way that you got your internet, it was a
oh, y'all had to crank it up to get it.
Like it was a dial-in process, and you could hear it connecting, and it took a while. Yep. But we were the early adopters of that. We were the early adopters of the PC. That was sort of the thing that we did. So when we talk about digital literacy, for me, Xers really we're the only generation with the experience of having to navigate in both worlds, right? We know what it felt like before the technology boom with the phone on the wall that I talked about, but we also know what it was when those big cell phone bags came out and people were walking around. It was literally like a weekend bag that you like go on a trip. It was a big, huge bag, and it was with the car phone, and it would be plugged up in your car. The phone was this big. Literally, it would go from here to here.
Wow.
It had to be 5 pounds.
Right.
Yeah. But
that's too much to be carrying around.
Listen, but we also had to navigate in watching things evolve.
Absolutely.
To the point that it is now.
No, you're right.
Yeah.
So, for millennials, like we had the privilege of when we did start going to school, actually having computers in classrooms because it was a point in time where they were not in the classrooms. And to Dr. Melissa's point, when I was doing some research, I honestly did think that the computers came out in the Xers time. That was not me being 100% shady, but I did have the privilege, with growing up, I saw the evolution of computers because when I was younger, they had the humpback, the fat back. And then as I was getting older, they started slimming down. Amen. It was like looking at someone, losing weight. I was like, hey. Yes. And then, we had the floppy disk and then it went to USB. So, for us millennials, we've had the privilege of watching technology evolve and become smarter in a sense. And how we, utilized it. So, that was a privilege for me. It was dope watching.
From my perspective, I want to piggyback off of you a little bit. Instead of currently evolving, though, I want to say it was already in this like advanced state.
Right.
Especially you were talking about like in a school environment. I know we had the computer lab. So that was part of your curriculum to establish competency with technology. And then if another thing I want to mention is also during my time, all of our time, but like COVID, going to school during COVID, it was mandatory for you to, use a digital computer to go to school, because in person wasn't an option. So now you had to rely on digital devices to receive education.
And what y'all also, and what started coming out a little bit towards the end for millennials, which I thought was dope, was the smart boards.
Yeah.
So it went from you actually having all of these things you're learning on computers to you actually learning on the smart board, not the chalkboard no more. They went to the smart board. So again, you know, like how it like really evolved to even down to the classrooms. Because like you were saying, you had to learn how to work computers in school.
Exactly.
Like now in colleges, they're teaching digital classes to teach individuals how to navigate a computer, how to be able to type at a certain speed. Like you got a whole curriculum now about.
Well, how can you survive without it? Now you took me back when she was talking about the smart boards. You know, I'm always just I'm just like this when I'm looking at the audience because I'm just talking to my Xers. Do y'all remember when we had the chalkboard and the privilege is if your teacher let you be the one to clean the board at the end of the day, right? Like you would take the chalk things, the erasers, and you would take them outside of school and you would beat them against a pole.
That sounds like a punishment.
No. You wanted
had
to
a regular rag to clean the board.
And then we went to the whiteboard. Anyway, but this is to your point, Amber, when you're talking about for you guys growing up in technology, right? The expectation, there's really for now some millennials, because the millennial gap is so broad when you talk about the generation, the early millennials, 81 or whatever, will have sometimes more of an experience, an experience when it comes to that, as opposed to the later millennials. But listen, by the time you guys were born, this is what it was. Like we were digital. And I think what happened, I know for the boomers, like for instance, for my mom just got on Facebook, y'all. And I'm telling you, she went kicking and screaming. But realize, to your point and to the point of this topic, it's difficult to navigate in today's world without being digital. Like nobody is writing letters anymore. Nobody's communicating. So when she gets her Social Security, it's direct deposit. She has the app, and at first she was like, "What is this?" Like, Mom, that is the way you move your money. That's how you transfer and all of that.
Even paying bills, like you know how you used to have to send the check and the part of the bill with the check inside the mail with your stamp. So my mom used to always have a book of stamps. So you know, we really don't need books of stamps anymore. But you always know that they were going to have a book of stamps because that's how you had to pay your bills, down to even car notes, mortgage, everything. It's so easy to do it in inside of an app or a click of a button. So now it's like the evolution of like how people used to do it analog. Now I know what that means, y'all, but analog versus digitally, right?
Right. And like you said, when you said difficult, I would even beg to say impossible to function in modern day society without technology. Like you said, all of our bills is handled digitalized. I can't think of a single bill I have that I could do like manually or paper. Everything is digital from when I receive the balance to how I pay off the balance. It's all digital, and they don't offer you any physical alternatives. So it's very important.
And take it a step further with that, I was thinking about when you were talking about paying bills. First of all, and you guys, this might be something that will shock you. When I was in school, part of the curriculum that you had was to learn how to write out a check and how to fill out the register. I mean, it was one of those things that you needed to learn how to do. But let me tell you, my bonus son was attempting to look for a job. They don't really take paper applications anymore.
What?
To apply for a job, there was a QR code. You scanned it and you applied online. And I'm telling you over and over again, when I've spoken to businesses and it's like, are you guys hiring? It's like, go online. Like nobody's handing out paper applications. So to your point, when you say the possibility or impossibility of being able to navigate, if you're looking for a job and you're still one of those people that feel like you're really digital illiterate, finding a job might be challenging. So
wow, I didn't even know that.
Yeah. So listen, you guys, we're getting ready to take this break, but this is what when we come back, Azir basically set the stage and he said we was going to talk about digital literacy, and then we were going to talk about the negatives of digital illiteracy. And so 30 seconds. 30 seconds.
Very brief.
Run to the potty, come right back, and we're going to talk about this whole concept of what does it mean to be digitally illiterate.
Yes.
Okay, see you in a bit.
Catch the wave of success with Standing on Business with Dr. Melissa. Unlock your purpose, align it with your entrepreneurial spirit, and witness your business thrive. This isn't just about authenticity, it's about building a foundation so solid, your business becomes synonymous with profitability. Tune in as we delve into marketing strategies that work and create an empire that stands on business. Because when purpose meets strategy, success is inevitable. Standing on Business with Dr. Melissa, where authenticity meets profitability.
Okay, so welcome back to What's the Tea with Gen X, Y, and Z. Before the break, we were delving into the whole digital literacy concept. And now, as promised, we were going to talk about what it means to be digitally illiterate and what are some of the pitfalls of it.
Right.
Yeah, so what do you guys think when we talk about that? But no, you know what? Before we do that, you guys, Amber and I were bantering back and forth about analog versus digital. I'm going to go ahead and be honest with you. I really don't know what analog means. I just know we were analog and then we turned digital. And Amber said it had to do with TV. And I was like, huh? So our Zier, of course, the information, guru, pulled up the definition.
Okay, so in order to be an accurate representation of my generation, I went ahead and relied on my old friend Google so we can distinguish the definition between analog versus digital. Okay, so we all have some clarity. Okay, so I'm going to read this definition, okay, verbatim. Okay, analog and digital are two types of signals. The difference between analog and digital is how the data is transmitted. Digital signals are transmitted as 1 second or 0 seconds, whereas analog signals are transmitted in waves. So just to provide you with another definition to give you more understanding. Analog is an adjective that describes a device or system in which information is represented by continuously variable physical quantities, i.e. antennas per TV.
Amen. So what that means is, Dr. Melissa, the Xer at the table, did not have a clear understanding that antennas, I never knew they were analog. I mean, I didn't know. When I thought about analog or digital, I always thought about like internet or phones, like your cell phones, an analog phone. But so listen, I am nothing if it's not accountable. Absolutely. So here, the millennial, the why not? She was correct that the little antennas. Now, I don't know why she had to out us with the whole Reynolds wrap. We didn't even have to do that.
I had to make it authentic so they could understand.
Amen.
I didn't understand.
So that's analog, y'all. So yes, if you were thinking when Amber was talking, like, yeah, analog does consist of the TV waves and the antennas. You were correct, and I stand corrected until I learned something today. That's the beauty of this show. Yes. I get smarter every time. So
that's the idea.
Yes.
Shady. Very shady.
So if we say digital illiteracy, right, most people will understand the concept of being illiterate.
Yes.
And it's a negative connotation most of the time when people say that. Yes. But here's the thing: the goal of this show and this episode is not to make you feel. It's not to put anybody down. Right. It's really to bring awareness that there are some people that are still pretty resistant to the whole embracing of the digital age. And while that's your choice, I alluded before the break that even to get a job, there has to be some degree of competency, to use your word, literacy when it comes to being able to use digital products. I'll tell you, when we interview people here, almost everything that we do, even in a behavioral health, human services capacity, you have to have some kind of competency with technology.
Yeah,
right.
So, definitely. And there's a lot of negativity surrounding it, like you were saying, where some individuals may feel like they're frowned upon because they are a little less knowledgeable in the digital or technology field. And what you have to understand is there's a lot of people out here that are using that to their advantage to take away from individuals, right? And it's important for you to know, like a lot of, even with your digital banking, or when you're, if you're really not familiar with shopping online, when you're putting in your card information, like how you're making yourself accessible to people doing cyber attacks and, you know, stealing from you. So it's important to know about just the stuff that you're utilizing, you know, like your phones and your computers. And when you are putting that personal information online, just making sure that you do a little bit of research, making sure, you know, at the bottom of those sites, they say if it's a secure site. You know, knowing basic stuff like that is very, you know, imperative.
Right.
For sure.
And I just want to go ahead and piggyback on both of y'all. First of all, again, the emphasis of this show, the purpose of this show is to just stress the importance of digital literacy, and just to stress to you how important it is, especially for those who are reluctant to embrace the change.
Absolutely.
Secondly, I love the point that Amber made about cyber attacks, because now we get into also, you have digital literacy, but then you also have media literacy. Media literacy, I would say, refer to those who use and utilize technology, however, are not very competent or just familiar with technology. Maybe they haven't been using enough, especially when we get into the media aspect of social media, where they're a lot more susceptible to cyber attacks because they don't check the link, they don't check how secure the site is. But then also, when we get into media literacy, also to be careful of what information you're taking in. Not all information is reliable. For an example, you have Wikipedia. For those who are not aware of Wikipedia, you can go ahead and change that yourself. Anybody could go in and change any article. So if you're looking up George Washington, they'll tell you George Washington might be the 16th president. And because of your lack of competency in just media literacy or digital literacy, you're made to believe that, because there it is right there, and you believe that, you know, the internet is always reliable, which sometimes it's not. You have to know how to really navigate and really determine what's accurate and what's not. So, you know, you have to be shrewd in that basis, that type.
Don't submit papers that got Wikipedia up there if you want a good grade.
No, don't ever do that. You're gonna get marked off just on a citation.
Absolutely.
Hello, world. My name is Dr. Melissa, and I'm digitally illiterate. I didn't know that until just at this moment. For one thing, I did not know that you could go in and change Wikipedia. I actually thought
no, it's not.
No, I didn't use it for school, y'all.
That's why I got a little pencil up there so you can edit it.
Well, I never saw the pencil. No, but if I want to know anything about any person, I don't even, if I see other sites, I'm like, oh, let me just go to Wikipedia, because it'll give you everything. You can click down and it says personal and career. Like, to me, I was like, this is the information. No. I did not know you could change.
You can manipulate it.
You can change it to the words you want.
And so, to your point,
anybody
both of y'all's points, this is where people are open up, though, to scams. You know, we talked in an episode before even about catfishing, like even with dating. Like, anytime we're using these digital products, it does require a degree of competency, and you use the word being shrewd. Absolutely. So if I get an email or a text message and it says, oh, this is FedEx or whatever, I go back to the sender, click so I can open up the link, because it'll say this is from Amazon, right? But when I click to open up the link, it is XYZ012. You know, it's some crazy web address. That is one of the things that I will say for Xers. We've certainly embraced the whole digital age because we adopted it. we were the ones. We were the ones that sort of ushered it in. And so we realized at some point early on that it was more of a luxury. It became a daily necessity. It's how we live, breathe, and work. But I will say, for X, sometimes the technology changes are way too much. It's too crazy. Too many things are changing. By the time we get comfortable here, by the time I got an iPhone 13, it's time for a 15. And I was like, no, but then it started getting slow.
Apple get smart on you.
I'm not. Hey, I'm not going to be the one to say what happens. All I'm going to say is every time a new product comes out, my old product starts acting real crazy. But to that point, for us as Xers, if it seems like sometimes we are resistant, it's not that we're resistant to progress. It's just that it's happening so fast and things are changing so quickly that it's hard to keep up.
Right,
And so I can only
exactly.
imagine for older
Exactly,
generations.
and just to add on to that, we don't identify the risks like cyber attacks to discourage anyone who is not currently utilizing technology to function everyday life, because
Right.
now you do.
Absolutely.
Everything comes with pros and cons. It's just a part of
Yes.
life, and it's important to utilize technology. You can't function in modern day society without it.
Yeah.
Like we talked about currency. Currency is digital now. With credit cards, some people don't even accept. Some stores don't accept cash. Some merchants don't. So it's very important. If you have currency, communication. It's not always convenient to go across the country to talk to a loved one.
Amen.
You always have that, and then also to access information, you do have some reliable media outputs that or inputs that can provide you with good information. Just because there are ones that are detrimental doesn't mean that not all of them are reliable and credible. So
don't throw the baby out with the bathwater.
Yeah.
That's another old saying.
Yeah, definitely. And even when you were talking about like behavioral health, honestly, my eye doctor is still fully paper. Now ask me how he's operating like that, I don't know. But we're not saying that is a bad thing if it's a slow adjustment for you, or if it's something that you're reluctant to do.
Right.
Because don't get me wrong, it's always good to write stuff on paper.
Right.
I mean, that's just something that we just do naturally,
Right.
So we're not saying that you can't utilize your paper and pen or
Right.
your newspapers.
Right.
Because I mean, we still utilize those things, but just having an open mindset to knowing that there's other ways of doing it, where if you need information, social media, you can find out everything on social media.
Can y'all tell that she's very counselly, and so she was trying to be gentle. I'm going to be a little bit.
Trying to be gentle.
I'm going to be a little firmer. Yes, she's correct. We're not trying to say that you have to. But listen, what I'm saying to you, you're going to be left behind.
Yep.
That's what I'm telling you, because right now, if you go to your doctor, your hospital, there's like records. Like that's how you check the results of the test. Yes. That's how you get your medications. And Amber is right. And God bless the eye doctor with the paper. For me, listen, I don't have time for you to be sending me paper. Right, what I want to do is be able to log on and say, and here's my digital prescription right here, right, and blah, blah, blah. So she's correct. Nobody is saying, listen, at the end of the day, it's personal choice.
Yes.
But here's what I'm going to say. We talked last time about working smarter and not harder. Yep. There is a movement that's happening in society. And like anything, you can choose. Some people chose to keep riding their horse and buggies while other people drove by in the Ford. And amen. And if you wanted to click, 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 you can click, 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 click. You're going to get there late. I'm just letting you know. If I'm in the Ford Mustang, the top down, chilling, playing the music, we're not going to wait on you, is what I'm saying. And so we're going to be there at the party, and you'll be clicking in, and you got to pull over so the horse can relieve himself and eat the hay and all that stuff, and you'll get there. What am I saying, you guys, as we round out this topic? A big part of understanding generational perspectives is to understand that progress is not evil. Right. Progress is a necessary thing. Progress is a promise. It's the promise of growth. Mm-hmm. And I tell people anytime something's not growing, it's dying. Yeah. And so for each of us, each of the generations, it behooves us to now embrace the changes as they come. Nobody's saying you need to be on TikTok. Mm-hmm. Nobody needs to be saying that, you Snapchatting and all. No, because I don't. But what I am saying is, if you've been resistant to really embrace what's happening, here's a beautiful thing. Get you some of these. These unicorns, I keep my circle filled with these individuals because I don't know. And so, for instance, like I think it was 2 weeks ago, they both looked at my Instagram and it was like,
the long header.
They was like, you got a long header, and I was like, well, I thought that's what I'm. Yeah,
that was bad.
It was real bad.
That was bad. That was the whole name right there.
Wait, but you ain't changed it.
I haven't changed it yet because I asked them to change it.
That was a 20-word profile name.
And when they
very long.
And when they get tired of seeing me look crazy, they will go in and help me change it. And that is the beauty about coming together with the different generations. Yes. Because while I'm able to give them good sage wisdom, I give it all the time,
Oh.
even when they don't want it. They also provide me with wisdom that I don't have. And it keeps me relevant, and it keeps me on message, and it keeps me doing things more efficient. So you guys, that's what it's all about.
Yes.
If we all add something to the pot, hey, we become better for it. And so, yeah, so great topic.
Yes.
Digital literacy.
One of my favorites. I had to fight for this topic.
He did, because I was like, what is that? I've never heard of that. Yes, digital literacy. Come on, y'all. Like, let's do this whole literacy program, and let's get on the ball with the progress.
Yes.
All right, you guys, thank you so much for joining us this week. We hope you enjoyed the topic as much as we did.
Yes.
So listen, you guys, let's keep the conversation brewing. Remember, we got to ask questions. We got to listen to understand, and then acknowledge the unique challenges each generation faces. And remember, as always, we got to look for that common ground, because trust me, it's there. So until next time, keep sipping and keep talking. Tune in next week for another thought-provoking and entertaining conversation that bridges the generational gap, one cup at a time. See you next week.